Right then, I want to talk about a podcast that's been out for quite some time, I think at least 8 years, and it's had quite a lot of downloads. But when I went to look for information on it online, I couldn't find a lot of stuff on it, and I think I want to talk about it because I'm really impressed with it. It's called We're Alive, and it's by a chap called Casey Wayland. And they call it as audio theatre for the mind, but effectively it's an old school radio play drama in a podcast format. So each chapter of the 40 odd chapters is split into 3 parts. Each part's about 20 to 30 minutes long, and that's how you download and digest it. It's free to download. It centres around a outbreak of a virus that goes worldwide, where a lot like 28 days later, people get bitten and they turn usually very quickly into what they call zombies, but really they're more like the 28 days later kind of zombies, where people are more just animals, where they just want bloodlust and they go after people. And it's about a group of army soldiers who, during the first moments of the outbreak, are called to the base. They're the only ones to get there. They realise everything's gone to pot, and then they head to a place in LA to try and regroup and survive. It's called A Story of Survival as a subheading. They meet characters and people along the way, and they set up in a small tower block and try and defend it and survive. The audio cast for this is great. I don't think there's a bad person in there. There's even a character who's a little girl, a little blind girl she plays, and it sounds like a child's voice, and it's really good acting on her part for the small bit she has. The characters are all well written. I don't think there's any that are stereotypical, and if they are, then they do it to fit a purpose, but you get development for all the characters, and the good thing is you don't need to have it over long drawn out sections. Because of the acting and the writing, you get across a character's feelings and motivations within a couple of words or a gesture, that might be explained, because there's a lot of narration goes on with this. People are narrating it from a diary entry they put in, because all the characters write diaries as part of a plot point within the show, and the sound design is top notch as well. There's lots of zombie noises, gun shots, things like that, and it's good to put to the point where it doesn't become overpowering and hide dialogue, but it creates a picture of where people are and what's going on. It's thoroughly addictive. I pushed through all of the episodes in a very short space of time. And that's because, again, it's in this serialised format that leaves you on this sort of cliffhanger at the end of most of the episodes, but not a cheap cliffhanger. They are places where the plot has taken it to. It's a natural end for that chapter of a story, and when the chapter ends, it moves on to a new topic, subject in the following chapter. Its natural comparison is going to be with the Walking Dead TV show. Not worried about the comic, but the TV show. The Walking Dead TV show has been criticised because people say it just drags out, and they find a place, settle down, someone comes and takes it off, and they have a zombie attack, they have to move on somewhere else. That is a good criticism of the show, and it's why I've stopped watching it. With this, you have a definite ending. There is no ambiguity to the ending. You know that if you get into it, there is a definite ending. They have a definite main bad guy. They have a number of lower tier, sort of B-level sub bosses, if you wanted to call them something, that are interesting and have clear motivations. The main bad guy being an actual zombie bad guy. The ones below that being a group of prisoners that they keep having run-ins with, and one in particular called Scratch. They have clear action sequences that lead to something, and when they take steps, it's all explained and it's understood why they're taking that step, and you kind of think, okay, yeah, I can justify why they would take that. That's not just done for the plot's purposes. And the best part about it, other than the fact it has a clear ending, is that the way that they've written the sci-fi horror elements of it are in a way that helps drive the plot forward and makes the person listening to it feel as though they understand what's going on and they can fill in the blanks. The key to good sci-fi horror stuff, whatever it is, TV, film, radio, whatever, is you need to give people enough information, whether it's made up science or whether it's factual, to allow them to feel intelligent enough to fill in the blanks themselves. Whereas The Walking Dead just said, I think in the last episode of the first series, oh, it's some kind of virus that everyone's got. That's it. I don't think there's been any further explanation than that. And I know that's not what Robert Kirkman, the writer, wants to go into, but you need to have a bit more explanation. With series like The Strain, where you're talking about something that's affects people and has a science fiction horror side to it, you get an explanation in the background. You don't get a full explanation, but you get some explanation, and it gives you enough to fill in the rest with your imagination, and using your imagination is what gets you hooked. This does the same. Throughout the show, it gives you little bits of information that let you feel that you've anticipated where the next bit of information is going to come from and what it's going to be. And when you're right, because they know, clever writers know that people generally think along the same lines, you feel intelligent, you feel happy, you want to listen to the story a bit more, and you want to see if you're right with your hunches going forward. And that is what this nails down really, really well. And then all the character writing and all that is a bonus on top of it. Because I can't find much online about it, I'll probably put a short video up explaining the origins of the zombies and the different types. But there are clever little tricks that horror and sci-fi people will like, with how the zombies aren't just one type. There are different types, and that's because people are doing things to them to make them change and try and grow them, diversify what kinds they are. There's enough sort of pseudoscience, pseudo mysticism to have fun with as well, and they do a good job of building a whole world where they can have lots of offshoot stories, etc. Enough is left unsaid at the end that there's room for stories to be interlaced and added on as spin-offs, which they have done. They've done a series called We're Alive Lockdown. I think they're doing another one called We're Alive Gold Rush. Lockdown's quite good. It's a tight, short story. I'm not sure what Gold Rush is going to be. If you want a long podcast with lots of episodes where you'll be satisfied, you'll get a story that's enjoyable with twists, turns, bit of romance, lots of action, and that covers sci-fi horror elements, We're Alive is definitely worth getting and listening to. It's available on all podcast outlets that I'm aware of. If you've got any other views, news or anything on We're Alive, please let me know, because I'm interested in it. But I just think it's really, really good. It's a shame that it wasn't adapted ahead of the Walking Dead comic books, because now any attempt to adapt it will just be seen as someone trying to cash in, and it may not get the treatment that it deserves. I think it could be excellent in either a series of films or dealing with the subject matter over a fixed series run. And by that I mean it's not open-ended. They have a clear set of series, a bit like with The Strain, where Del Toro said, oh, I'm going to do it in 5 series and that's it. And it gives them somewhere to end, so the writing doesn't get saggy or anything like that. With this, you could probably do it in 3 series, each of 10 episodes, and it would have enough climaxes and enough action packed in tightly to let it be done. Even 2, I'd be happy with 2 series, to be honest, like a part 1 and a part 2. That would be fine, but it just needs some attention, and the more people that watch and listen to it mean the more this kind of quality entertainment gets generated.